Hey book besties, welcome to my April TBR. You guys know the drill. We're using my TBR jar full of reading prompts to pick out the books that I will hopefully, keyword is hopefully, read in the month of April. I did a really bad job with sticking to my March TBR, but that's because I was in a reading slump. So that kind of justifies it. Also, if you're wondering, I am not going to be doing a March reading wrap up. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to combine March and April's reading wrap up together. So you'll see that at the end of April, fingers crossed. But yeah, I'm going to be picking out 5 books that are going to be on my April TBR. I normally choose 10, but I've decided to just half it and do 5 because it's more realistic just in my current routine at the moment. So hopefully you guys enjoy seeing what books are going to be on my April TBR. Let me know what books you're hoping to read in the month of April, and let's just jump right into it. This is going to be our first prompt. Our first prompt is a book written by Tessa Bailey. I think I only have 2 books that I haven't read from Tessa Bailey on my physical TBR. For the Tessa Bailey reading prompt, I've chosen It Happened One Summer. This is the first book in the Ballinger sisters duet, and this one is a small town grumpy sunshine romance, which I think this is actually going to be a 5-star book prediction. I hope I'm not jinxing it by saying that, but I feel like it's going to be 5 stars because it's got tropes that I love, and also the main female character reminds me of Poppy from Wild Child, and I love that movie. So this book follows Piper. She is very fashionable and influential, and she's a bit of a wild child, and something really bad happens, and her stepfather is just like, okay, enough is enough. I'm gonna send you and your sister to this small fishing town to kind of get your life together. So she's kind of thrown from city life into this like small town fishing setting where she meets Brendan, who is a sea captain, and Brendan is less like, oh my god, this Beverly Hills diva is not gonna last in this small town, like there's no way. But Piper is so determined to show her stepfather and Brendan, the grumpy local, that she's more than just a pretty face. And since it's a small town, everywhere she turns she bumps into Brendan. They are complete polar opposites, so it's also opposites attract, and apparently this book also has some really good spice, so we'll see how that goes. For our second prompt, we have got a book with a pink cover. Here is my little pink corner on my bookshelf, so we've definitely got a few options to choose from. I'm kind of thinking, oh, actually, Mr. Wrong Number by Lynn Painter. I actually recently unboxed this. It was on my last book unboxing video, which I'll link down below. But I have read 2 of Lynn Painter's books this year, and I love them both so much. So I've got very high hopes for this one. This is a brother's best friend, enemies to lovers romance, and we follow Olivia, who has just always had bad luck happen in her life, and then she gets this text from a random number being like, what are you wearing? And that turns into the hottest, most entertaining relationship of her life, but she has no idea who this random phone number is. And turns out this random number is actually her brother's best friend Colin, who is also Olivia's new roommate, and they do not get along at all. I love Lynn Painter's writing and her characters that she creates, so hopefully I like this one just as much as Better Than the Movies and The Do-Over, fingers crossed. But yeah, I'm really excited to read this one. Third prompt, a Colleen Hoover book. I might do a reread because I do have It Starts With Us, but I read It Ends With Us a while ago, and I honestly can't really remember too much about it. I don't know. I'm gonna go with Hopeless by Colleen Hoover for the Colleen Hoover reading prompt, because I actually had this on my March TBR, but like I said, I did a really bad job with sticking to my March TBR, so I'm gonna just add this onto my April TBR. I'm not really in the mood to read a coho book at the moment, but I mean, this is on my physical TBR, so I should read it, right? So I don't know anything about this book. All I know is that Alexa Ray, who's one of my favorite booktubers, loves this book. This is her favorite Colleen Hoover book and one of her favorite books of all time. So hopefully I like it if I do end up picking it up in April. A book with an animal on the cover or title of the book. Oh, I'm gonna have to actually like look properly. Okay, I'm kind of leaning towards Maggie Moves On by Lucy Score because there's a dog on the cover. Or I kind of want to reread The Hunger Games. but I don't know. I honestly have no idea if I'll actually read this in April, but I've chosen Maggie Moves On by Lucy Score because there's a dog on the cover, and this book is basically following a house flipping sensation and YouTuber named Maggie who can't wait to dig into her next challenge. Arriving in a tiny American town with only a coffee maker, Maggie is prepared to restore a crumbling Victorian mansion in 4 months or less. She has her to-do list, her blueprints, and her team. What she doesn't have is time for a sexy, laid-back landscaper named Silas. The man takes flirtation to a whole new level, and he does it shirtless. He and his dog are impressively persistent, but she is not interested in putting down roots. Not when fans tune in to watch her travel the country, turning dilapidated houses into dream homes. A short-term fling, on the other hand, could fit nicely into her calendar. After all, Maggie remembers what fun is like, vaguely. As their summer gets downright steamy, Silas manages to demolish the emotional walls she spent years building, sending Maggie into panic. He's the wrench in her carefully constructed plans. With the end of the project looming, she has a decision to make. But how can she stay when her entire career is built on moving on? The main reason that I really wanted to read this book is because I love anything related to home renovations, house flipping, just anything home related. Also, the main female character, Maggie, is a content creator, and obviously I'm a content creator as well, so I found that aspect really interesting. Plus, any book where the guy owns a dog or an animal, just a pet in general, we love it, we stan. So hopefully I like it. I've never read a Lucy Score book before either, so hopefully this one is a good one. And then we are up to the 5th and final prompt. It feels so weird just picking only 5 books because I always pick 10 books every month, but we're being realistic here for once. Our 5th and final prompt is a spicy book. I've chosen Desperate Measures by Katie Robert, which is the first book in the Wicked Villains series. This one is a Disney dark romance retelling reimagining situation. So this is actually following Jafar and Jasmine from Aladdin. I've heard this is a very spicy book, possibly could be the spiciest romance book I've read so far. I don't think I'll read the back of the book, but all I'm going to say is that this book is very spicy, apparently, from what I've heard, and I got this recommended to me randomly on TikTok, so I picked it up. Hopefully it's good. Hopefully it's not like cringy, but I think it's going to be really interesting because it's literally an Aladdin reimagining with a dark, spicy twist. That's going to be interesting. Okay, so we have officially chosen the 5 books that I will hopefully read in April. So let's go do a quick recap. So for the spicy book prompt, I've chosen Desperate Measures by Katie Robert. For a book that has an animal in the cover or the title, I've chosen Maggie Moves On by Lucy Score. For a Colleen Hoover book, I've chosen Hopeless. For a book with a pink cover, I've chosen Mr. Wrong Number by Lynn Painter. And last but not least, for the book written by Tessa Bailey prompt, I've chosen It Happened One Summer. Hopefully I actually stick to my TBR this month, and fingers crossed I'm out of this reading slump. Stay tuned for the end of April to hear my thoughts on the books that I read in April, plus the 2 books that I read in March. But hopefully you guys enjoyed watching this video. If you did, please be sure to give this video a huge thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel down below because I post new videos every single week. Let me know what's on your April TBR and what your favorite book you read in March was. And I will see you all in my next video. Bye!